Hey folks, welcome to a new end of the year video from Big Dub. I hope you all have been enjoying these top 10s as I've gone through the things that I have bought over this year and tried to look back on the collection and I don't know, ranking. I mean, this time of year I think it's fun for collectors. I like to watch lots of people's top 10s. I consume quite a bit of that, and I know these are popular. A lot of people like to see mine, see my opinion on things. Also, you get to see what people have picked up, because not everything's on camera. So hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're also getting ready for New Year and having a good time and all that stuff. So let's move to our new video today. And today we're going to look at Super 7 Ultimates and my top 10 Super 7 Ultimates. Now this line is a line that I have very mixed feelings on. Very mixed feelings. So I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Super 7 Ultimates line. It's my favorite line of action figures. My favorite. But it has changed, right? We all know this. There seem to be issues with Playmates allowing the license for things that look like the old Playmates toys. So Super 7's having to do things that it's easy for us to say, oh, just make Pizza Face the way Pizza Face used to look. I don't think they're allowed to. And I think they have to come up with creative different ways. That's what happened with the Rat King fiasco. And they have fun ways to get the licensor to say yes. And Playmates in this case, I think, is the one that has to say yes. And so it's just been frustrating because last year we had a bunch of Super 7 Ninja Turtle Ultimates. This year, there's only one wave that came out. And it just came out, just like a couple weeks ago. And then there were also like the glow in the dark the Turtles re-release that are ooze green. But that's just a re-release. There was only, and in the new wave, one of them is a repaint. So there's only 3 new sculpts from that whole line. That line, which has been one of my favorite lines to collect the last few years. Thundercats, I'm not sure that I think we only got one Thundercat this year. Just one. Now she came with the vehicle, and we did get the Thunder Tank, which we'll talk more about that. And I love that line. So it's frustrating, the delays that it takes. The price points going up. Frustrating. I still really like the product they put out when we get it. I don't have the issues that some people do. I don't care that they're not hyper-articulated. I still think that most of us, we pose our action figure once, we put it on a shelf, and we may never pose it again. If not, we don't pose it for a long time. So I like the aesthetic of what they're producing. When I open a Super 7 Ultimates, I feel like I'm a kid. And that's what a lot of us are trying to pay for here. But the line is, this broadly, and seeing them go on clearance for $8 or $9 and these kinds of things is hard. Makes it hard to collect the line. But I still love it. I still want to do a top 10. So let's look at how many Super 7s I bought this year. I bought 8 Super 7 G.I. Joes, first 2 waves of that line. I bought 9 Ninja Turtles Ultimates, and that's because we did have the glow-in-the-dark exclusives. 2 Thundercats, which is a vehicle and a person. 8 Silverhawks, and then 8 other things. And then we also had a throne. We had a bike, we had a Thunder Tank, we had a Turtle Van. There were 39 total items that are in consideration for this. Now, I'm not going to count the Thunder Tank, and I'm not going to count the Turtle Van for this list because they're just their own category. And honestly, I haven't even opened the Super 7 Turtle Van yet. And the Thunder Tank's one of the coolest things I've ever opened. It's awesome. I love it, love it, love it. We got that right at the beginning of the year. So I'm not going to weigh those against anything else. We're going to talk more about the premium vehicles in the final video in the top 10 figures of the year, period. So look forward to that in coming weeks. But let's get to our ranking. I bought 39 Super 7 Ultimates. That's less than I normally do, I think. Maybe not, though, because it had G.I. Joe and Silverhawks this year. But let's see. Number 10 is from the Silverhawks line, and it is the Armored Monstar. In the Silverhawks line, the villains are always the coolest. I have no real memory of ever owning an actual Silverhawks good guy figure, but I definitely owned Monstar. I definitely own Molecular. I definitely own Buzzsaw. When I was a kid, played with them in the bathtub and whatever. And their villains are always the things that are the more intriguing to me. And I think they look great in the Super 7 Ultimate style as well. Say what you will about whether or not the vac metal on the good guys should have already happened. Didn't happen, the animation style, whatever. I don't care about that. But this guy's big and beefy and he's cool looking. Do I like the Ramen Toy Monstar more? Well, he's kind of big and chromey red. I don't know. That's kind of a hard call. I'm not sure which one I like more. But I like this Armor Monstar. I think it's a good figure. But I waited until the Silverhawks were all on sale on Entertainment Earth, and that's when I bought them. I didn't pay full price for them. So it's kind of hard to weigh them super high when I wasn't willing to pay full price. Number 9, another thing I got from the Entertainment Earth sale, and that is Brain. Now, maybe I should say Pinky and the Brain, but Brain especially is the one I like the most. I think he's fun, and I always liked him more than Pinky. And the accessories that they come with as a set is just incredible. Like, so many things. Huge accessory pieces, their weapons to take over the world, and their plans and maps. And it just made me feel like a kid opening this, even though I was a little older when like Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain were coming out. I enjoyed getting this. And we did pick up like SpongeBob and Sandy, Ren and Stimpy, Pinky and the Brain. Like, we are picking up some of those kind of animation classics without finishing like the rest of their line. Like, I would love to get, I don't think they're going to be able to keep making The Simpsons, but if they had regular versions of like Bart and Homer, I'd probably get that. Just to have kind of a little animation, like other animation stuff shelf. I don't know. Pretty good. Let's move to number 8, and this is the Thundercats item. It is Mandora with the Electro Charger. Is that the thing's name? Her bike. Another thing I think I got it right before the Thunder Tank, or maybe at the same time, because I had to find room for those at the same time. She's really cool, and the bike is nice. Now, this, again, it was not a cheap set. It was an expensive set. But the bike looks really good. It has a stance. You can have it hovering and flying. She has several alternate portraits and ways she can be portrayed. I think they look good. I do. I think it's a good looking thing. I just wish we got more Thundercats, and I wish we wouldn't have already got her, but not had like Wily Cat, Wily Kit, Snarf, some of them. We should already have them before we're waiting a whole year getting one release, and it's not one of them. That would be my criticism. Let's move to number 7, and it is from G.I. Joe. It is Cobra Commander. I like the G.I. Joe Ultimates. I like them. They're blown out on sale everywhere, but they look like they jumped out of the cartoon. And again, that's what I like. I love it that they look like they're jumped out of the cartoon. The Real American Hero. It looks awesome. And this Cobra Commander is great. He has a nice cape on him, soft goods cape. He's got cool accessories and the globe and the snake and all that. And it just looks like my childhood. And like the G.I. Joe toys don't look like that, right? And I think I heard maybe on Legion's cast it was, but somewhere, maybe it was on My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me podcast, an interesting conversation about how you have childhood memories of playing with G.I. Joe toys, and you have childhood memories of watching G.I. Joe, and not everybody did both of those. Some people just watched the show, but the toys don't appeal to them because they don't look like the show. And some people only played with the toys, so something like this that looks like the show doesn't appeal to them. I think that's interesting. I think it was the My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me podcast. We're talking about that recently, and I agree with that. I actually did both. G.I. Joe toys were a thing that I could get because they were low cost, and they had like pretty low cost vehicles, so I had a few vehicles, none or any of the big ones. Plus you'd find them at yard sales, Mom would find them at yard sales. But then also I loved the show. I watched the show with my older sister Kim, where they were going to create Serpentor. Was like one of my most formative childhood memories of like appointment TV. Like, we had to get home for the next episode of G.I. Joe. How are they gonna? They've got Sergeant Slaughter. What are they gonna do? Like, it was meaningful to us. So this line I like because it looks like the TV show. So Cobra Commander. Moving to 10987, number 6. I don't know what this is formally called, but it's the unarmored version of Monstar from Silverhawks. So I don't think this toy's ever been made before. So he's not powered up. He's not in the red armor. He's more like a mob boss Monstar. I just think he looks cool. I like the little crazy, like, hair all over the place, head sculpt, the eye patch type thing. we just don't have anything like this. And I think that's one of the things Super 7 does really cool, is they make toys that have never been made. And I like that. And this is an example of that, and I like it. Continuing with Silverhawk, surprisingly enough, we go to number 5. It is Buzzsaw. By far my favorite of that have been released so far. He was my favorite Silverhawks toy. You lifted his mouth up and down, and the saws would vroom, vroom, vroom. And so I'd have him in the bathtub, and he'd be shirting water everywhere, and I'd make him bite my sister's hair. And I loved Buzzsaw. And this thing looks like it. Now, it's not the same color as the toy. They do have the toy color version coming out. The toy was bright neon green with yellow saws. They do have the toy version coming out with the VAC metal ones. Will I get that too? Well, if it gets down to $10 in Entertainment Earth, I will. I don't think that will. But I think it'll be made in much less quantity. So I was excited about this. Glad to have it. But again, I didn't pay full price. I waited till it was on sale. And that has to tell you something. The G.I. Joe, I did pay full price. But this one, did not. Let's move to number 4. And we finally get into the Turtles. You can imagine of the top 4, 3 of them are going to be those Turtle releases that are original sculpts. That was Robotic Rocksteady. Robotic Rocksteady. He's cool. He's big. He reminds me of the toy, I think. That is one of those toys that I certainly had when I collected as an adult. But did I have it as a kid? I don't know that I remember that, to be honest. I wonder what when Robotic Bebop. I'm looking here to see when the Robotic Bebop will come. He's also been announced. Just a brief intermission. Robot Bebop is in wave. Oh, I don't know. That's Rocksteady. It's pulling up. I don't know. He's in one of the future waves. But I don't remember having this toy, but I had it on card and loose as an adult collector. It's one of the very few I had to get as an adult. I think it's cool. It's big. It's awesome. I think they do a great job on the menacing. Could it be shinier? More chrome? Sure it could be. But I'm glad to get it. And I don't think this is just a full repaint. It certainly has some different parts on it. All right, let's move to number 3. This was one of my favorite toys as a kid. One of my favorite. I love it as an adult. I just think there are 2 toys that are better than it in this line this year. But it is Space Cadet Raph from Ninja Turtles. I don't know why it is. I've never really been super big into space. I liked fantasy more than sci-fi. I was never a big Star Trek. Star Wars was fine, but it was never the most important thing in the world. But I loved Space Cadet Raph. And I've tried to remember why that is as a toy. It was Raph was my favorite turtle. And maybe it was the first variant of Raph I ever got. Where he wasn't just turtle. I don't really know. But I carried that toy around everywhere. And I loved it. And so, for whatever reason, I have very fond memories of this that I just loved it. And so I love this version. It's very nostalgic for me. It makes me think about being a little kid. I think it looks great. I think there's some issues with the headset stuff and the helmet. But I think it looks great, and I'm happy to have it. I'm very happy to have it. Move to number 2. A name that you're going to see whenever there's G.I. Joe on the list, and that is Super 7 Ultimate's Destro from Wave 2. He just is Destro. He looks like Destro. It looks just like the Cobra Commander I talked about earlier. Looks like Destro walked off the TV, and he's now just chilling in the house with me, but in 1/12 scale. I love it. It's a simple design, but it's the design I love. And I loved it enough to put it ahead of that Space Cadet Raph because I guess my nostalgia felt stronger for the TV than that toy, which is kind of surprising to me, honestly. But it's a great figure. I paid full price for that. I paid full price for Raph, and I paid full price for what is going to be the number 1 figure of Super 7 Ultimates for the year, and that is Ninja Turtles Genghis Frog. Genghis Frog. Another toy that I have a fond memory for. I had Genghis Frog. He's one of the earliest turtles that came out, one of the earliest mutants that was not a turtle. Lots of fun to play with, but I think they killed it. So I don't have as much nostalgia for that as some of the others on this list. I think they just killed it. And that crazy, big tongue head sculpt is awesome. And I think they really showed off. I like the sculpting. I know the Horsemen have sculpted quite a bit for Super 7. I don't think they are anymore. But this feels like a Horseman sculpt to me. And it just is beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's a figure I love. I love to play. Happy to have it on the shelf and display and all of that. So Super 7 Ultimate's kind of a disappointing line for me this year. I'm not sure where they go as a company, but we're going to find all that out together, I guess. So let me know, what were your favorite? Did you pick up any Super 7 Ultimates? Do you collect any? Do you have nostalgia for any of this? Let me know in the comments. Tomorrow, we're going to continue in like single company. So we got Super 7 was a single company. Tomorrow, we're going to do my favorite NECA action figures of the year. I will talk to you then. Squeeze it.